Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day, and we have a lot of weather going on across the United States and a big system brewing in the Atlantic. The East Coast is finally starting to dry up, floods are continuing to happen along the Gulf states, big time heat is building in the Central Plains, severe weather is happening in the Northern Plains, and fire weather is happening along the Rockies. Along with that, we have a system that might be big and it will definitely impact the United States. So let's start off with that tropical system. Currently, the National Hurricane Center only has a 30% chance of development. That means in the next 7 days, there's a 30% chance that this could become a tropical depression or greater. This yellow box that they have is really the only area that we're certain it's going to go. Once it goes past this yellow box, it could go anywhere from Texas all the way up to New York. Looking at how our satellite is going, you can definitely see this tropical wave over here, although it doesn't look like it's as moisture rich as it was yesterday. Our low pressure system is somewhere in this area right here, mainly in this middle one right here, but right now there isn't a defined low pressure system. As this thing moves over here, it should intensify once it reaches the Bahamas. We also have another system right over here coming off of the Carolinas, and this is expected to shift north and west and hit the northeast. This shouldn't be a tropical system, and hopefully it'll just bring some rain and maybe some calm winds. So this shouldn't be that much of a deal besides from rain in the northeast. Here's a zoomed in look at our tropical wave right over here. As you can see, it definitely looks like a tropical wave, but it is moisture starved right now. Speaking of moisture, let's look at this. This is a look at relative humidity at around 500 millibars. So that's around the middle height of storms. So you can see our tropical wave down here, and it definitely has a lot of moisture. Our greens and blues is where moisture is. But then you can see there's a whole bunch of dry air in front of it where these browns and light browns are. As we play this through, you can see this tropical wave coming up here and then becoming moisture rich as it hits this area over here. Now this is just one run of the Euro model, so do not take the track of this seriously, only look at the humidity. So as we play this through, you can see that system over there swirling around, and there is dry air all around it. It's currently just barely pushing through. And then as you can see, as it hits the Caribbean, there's quite a lot more moisture, but it doesn't look very organized. But once it hits the Caribbean, it starts to organize and then head up the coast. Now this thing could head up the East Coast, it could hit Florida, or it could hit anywhere in the Gulf of Mexico. We do not know. Now this is obviously not official. This is a graphic that I made. So in my opinion, I say we have a 60% chance in the next 7 days of a tropical depression. Now these arrows over here represent everywhere that the system could go. So besides from this orange box right here, we have no clue where the system could go. It could take a track more like that. It could take a track more like that. It can take a track like that. It can take a track like that. It can basically do anything. Once we get closer though, we should be able to narrow down where it can go. And the time frame for it making landfall is from the 4th through the 7th. Anywhere from that time is where this system could make landfall. But remember, this isn't even a tropical depression yet, and things can change. So no need to worry about it right now. To put this into perspective, I'm going to show you two models. So this model right here is the Euro model, and it's showing you where the winds are the strongest. So the more pink or red or yellow it is, the stronger the winds are. And these L's that you see, those are low pressures. So you want to keep your eye down here on this low pressure system, as that's our tropical wave that we're watching. And then right over here you can see this is the United States. So watch this low pressure system as it goes over here. As you see, that low pressure system is basically non-existent now as it's being hit by that dry air, but it will make itself apparent again as it reaches the Caribbean. As you can see, those winds start to pick up and it starts to get a low pressure system as it hits the Bahamas. And then once it gets closer to the US, that's whenever things really ramp up with this system. But this is just one model. Let's look at the American model. So the American model has that same low pressure system, and as you can see, it starts to go away, starts to pick up some wind speed as it hits the Caribbean, and then into the Bahamas, you don't see much of anything actually happening. So this is another solution that definitely could happen. The dry air could take over. There could be too much wind shear. A lot of things can happen where this will not develop. But if this did develop, let's look at all the areas that this could hit. So this is an ensemble model, so it takes all the models together. Here's the system right over here in the Caribbean. All of those red numbers that you see are possible tracks. And the more red that the map is, that's a higher concentration of these low pressure centers. So as we play it through, you can see it hitting the Bahamas and then Florida. And then as you can see, these things are very spread out. Some are going over to Texas, some are going to the Carolinas, Some are hitting the Gulf, some are hitting Florida. Some of them take it up to the northeast, some of them take it right into North Carolina. This can hit anywhere at any strength. So right now, the only thing that we know is that there is a tropical wave and it could develop. If it does, it will cause big problems for the U.S. In other news, the Elkhorn tornado from April 26 in Nebraska. Elkhorn is in West Omaha. This tornado has now been upgraded to an EF4 after new data came in from these houses. So it is now an EF4 at 170 miles per hour, right over here. Sadly, this was the unfortunate house that got the EF4 170 mile per hour rating. Now let's look at the entire United States. These are the maximum temperatures for the next 7 days. So this is for today, Saturday. Find yourself on this map and I'll tell you what your max temperature will be for the next week. The big takeaways from this is that the East Coast is finally getting a cool down this week. If you live on the East Coast, you probably felt these 80s the past couple days, and this should stick. We also have some big heat building in the northern and central plains. And as usual, we have double-digit heat over here in Southern California and Arizona. Now tomorrow, which is Sunday, we will continue to see a relief from the heat in the east. We will see a big relief in areas like Illinois and Wisconsin because of some rain. Things continuing to warm up in the central plains. And much of the same everywhere else. And then for Monday, much of the same. Tuesday, much of the same. Wednesday, the central plains really starts to heat up. As you can see, 109 in central Kansas. And then also the south and parts of the east coast start to warm up as well. For Thursday, it's really warm everywhere in the United States. Southeast continues to heat up again. But then also Texas and Oklahoma starts to get in on the big heat. And everyone's favorite Friday, it's much of the same. Low to mid 90s for basically everywhere in the United States. And 100s in the plains and in Southern California. And then rain for today and tomorrow. You can see much of Minnesota and all the states along the Mississippi River really getting in on the rain. Especially areas like Tennessee and Florida. Sadly, no snow is expected. Looking at our severe risk for today, we have a slight risk in North Dakota and Minnesota. This is driven by a hail risk and a wind risk. And then tomorrow, we have South Dakota and Nebraska and a little bit of Kansas and a little bit of North Dakota also in a slight risk. This slight risk is also driven by a hail risk and by a wind risk. And then Monday, we have a marginal risk across portions of the Midwest. This should also be driven by wind and hail. Looking at next week, let's look at temperatures. For next week, most of the U.S. is again going to be under a lot of heat. And precipitation-wise, from Sunday, August 4th to Saturday, August 10th, we'll see above normal precipitation in the east and the Gulf, below average in the plains, and above average in the southwest, and a little bit below average in areas like Washington and Oregon. That is your weather report for today. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions or helpful criticism, be sure to tell me down below in the comments. But that is really all. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye.